Hello. Welcome to another episode of Greg Tech New Horizons. This is Zypher, and boy do we have some projects for this episode. As you can see, I've started working on this Rosa Mysteria farm. This in turn, grown on mixed crystal cluster blocks, gives us mixed fragments, and each one of these will give us two of each aspect, which makes getting balanced shards so much easier. Now, the whole reason I want to be able to have balanced shards way easier is this right here. In order to enchant our magic adept bags, we need purifying bath salts, and in order to make purifying bath salts, we need Salus Mundus in bulk. Now, I think I should be able to speed this up with bone meal, which means, for one, this will run passively, but if I ever need an excess of Salus Mundus, I can just come here and throw in a stack of bone meal, and we'll get a ton of it. Now, as we can see, the balanced shard recipe, which mostly everybody knows by now is two of each aspect, and then one of a different crystal that's not part of the aspect list. And for whatever reason, you can't access the recipe for this via NEI. But if we take a look, we can see I'm going to need Ordo for this recipe itself. And since these fragments give every single aspect, I'm going to go ahead and use Order shards in the recipe so that way we have an excess of Ordo in our system for the bath salts. This is something new I want to show you guys. I've added a Thaumatorium here to our little Thaumcraft area. So here you can just throw in your catalyst. It'll automatically know what recipe you want, and you just have to supply it with aspect. I don't know why I said aspect, I mean Essentia. Now here with our alchemical furnace, I have Essentia import buses attached to our ME network, which means all we have to do is throw in what we want melted down, and if we dash to our ME system and access our Essentia terminal, we can see all the different aspects that we have available. Now once I see each one of these up at 8, each primal aspect at 8, we can go over and check and watch our Thaumatorium at work. Now if we come over here, we can just watch and see when it is ready to make the recipe. It'll gather the aspects, suck them in here, and it'll pop it out right in front, which leads me to needing a chest. And as we can see, it spit them out for me. We got our 4 balanced shards from a very simple recipe. Matter of fact, it was so fun I want to do it again. And this time I really just want to make sure that the items will go in this weird chest that I decided to use because it fits the whole theme, I think. And please tell me you went in the chest. Wonderful. Now I need 4 recipes of bath salts, so we'll have 8 to enchant our 8 loot bags, which means it's time to gather our Essentia. Now we can use our Aurelia from last episode, which will give us 6 Aurum. I have a trick for Cognitio. First we'll grab some paper from our farm. So if we need 10 and we need 4 recipes, that's going to be 40. And if we use this random data stick of prospection data with some ink and some paper, we'll craft up a bunch of printed pages, which have 2 Cognitio each. That will take care of that Essentia. We'll use calcium for our Sono. And since we're now going to be adding some Tutamen to the ME system, we'll take this jar and empty it out using an import bus attached to our ME line. Take the label and add the jar to the collection. Next, we'll add the printed pages in. Now, all we should need to do is grab our Salus, which is our catalyst, add him to the Thaumatorium, and he should detect his recipe. And now we'll just wait for it to process. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and work up a couple more books. And now we just come check and see if they've completed. Well, we have 2. Like we're just waiting on that alchemical furnace, per usual. And now we should be able to enchant these loot bags. I have no clue if anybody else takes the time to enchant these and get the rewards, but I'm curious to see what we'll get. I did peek at the loot table, but I didn't look too hard, so let's see what happens. I got no primal charms, which is what I was going for. That's unfortunate. However, we did get a bunch of different types of seeds and crystal clusters, which the crystal clusters will definitely come in handy. And since we didn't get the primal charm, we'll just have to make it ourselves. It's not too bad. I just really don't think that I have rose gold and didn't want to have to go that route. But here we go. And we do have rose gold. I guess I can't complain that we got all the mixed clusters because that's exactly what we used to craft primal charms. With a bigger wand, we might need some more room. So I've added a couple more spots of dirt here. Already had those primal shrooms. And what this should mean is it doesn't take nearly as long to recharge this wand. Yeah, looking at that wand closer, there was no way I was going to make that. So for now, we're going to go with this gold-banded greatwood staff. And eventually we'll make the silverwood staff instead. But this is going to give me a bunch of capacity to do exactly what I'm trying to do. So yeah, that wand that I tried creating, that I did create and spent 30 or 45 minutes trying to figure out why the focus wouldn't go in, is because it is a stafter, if that's the right way to say that, stafter. 3 caps, no go. An absolute waste. Therefore, I think what we're going to go with for now, since it does give a slight discount, is this charged thaumium bossed greatwood staff. And this looks relatively simple to make. I have these caps, these ones, already made. I just need to do the infusion craft. Instead of doing the infusion provider, since I haven't unlocked the research for that yet, I crafted up some Essentia export buses, and I have a filter set. Therefore, we can just place a warded jar on top, and we should get some aurum popping up in this jar to be able to use for our infusion craft. Now, with all of our jars in place, and our items appropriately placed, I missed an item. And like magic, we have our first charged thaumium cap. Let's do another. Make sure we reload our potentia jar. 25, 40, and 25. Items in place, including the cap itself this time. Begin. 106.5, skimming right on the edge. Now, in theory, I should finally be able to attach the focus to this. Indeed, I am. We have a new dislocation focus, dedicated wand. Now, with the new dislocation staff, we have a bunch of fun to do. We'll come and check our farm, and I can see right off the bat we actually got ourselves a Mika crop. I'm going to take him. I'm going to put him right here for now. Don't need the raspberry. Titania, we're doing pretty good on at the moment, so I might just not worry about this one for now. Ooh, another Stargadium. I don't like him with resistance on him, so goodbye. This is now a 25-0, which means we can replace this guy. I'll tell you, being able to do this multiple times before recharging is great. And by the time we do run out of charge, these are pretty much fully grown. And to repurpose our titanium plot, we're going to plant 2 of the Bob's Your Uncle. Now, with all of that being said and done, I've taken some time to smelt up a shitload of tungsten steel so we can finally build this Lapatronic Super Capacitor. Now we just need the 5 EV capacitors just to get the quest done. Don't worry. Luckily, I had over 4,000 lapis, which made all of this fairly easy. Here's some empty capacitors, and these can be assembled in just about 10 seconds with program 7. And this should trigger our quest. The third time's the charm. Huh. And we're just going to take those and stick them right back through the unpackager so that we can make these IV instead of EV. And 10 years later, my favorite saying, we finally have them ready. And while those craft up, we can go ahead and build the structure. And they're ready! Ooh, there's a quest for it too. I'm glad I did all 9. Now we just need a couple energy hatches, and we might be good to go. And with the superconductor IV wire, we can make some energy hatches, which should complete our structure. We'll put a dynamo right here. I think a dynamo right here. While I'm thinking about it, I think we might turn this into a 4 amp energy hatch rather than just a 2. And coming right up, IV 4 amp energy hatch. All we need to do is install it. And we have a completed structure. Good on maintenance. Now I say we start buffering some energy in here. We'll make a high amp transformer. Step up. 16 amp transformer is in place. Now we just need to wire everything. Now the test to see if I've hooked this up properly to at least receive power. I'm not going to transmit anything yet, but we'll give them some time to ramp up. Well, everything's been wired up. Now let's try to hook up some type of redstone system. Drop down into our little maintenance box here. I've already put on an energy detector cover. We need to do this to EU stored. And then we're going to put a transmitter underneath it here. We'll put the frequency on 24. Grab a fresh receiver. And see if my idea is going to work. I'm getting a power of 0, which leads me to believe I need to tweak something. Let me out the door. Oh, there we go. I just had to flip this around so the red line was facing the right way. Let's reestablish the frequency, and now we should be set. Okay, so this is a suggestion from Ant in the GregTech Discord. I'm going to try this technique out. So instead, we're just going to put the transceiver here, or the receiver, and we'll put the transceiver right here. So now if we come up here, we can see that it does have redstone power, which means it should have our LCEs disabled. And once this reaches a lot lower than it is right now, we might be able to see if this logic works. And I think I've already decided that quickly to swap out these dynamo hatches to a higher amperage, as well as change the main line to a higher amperage wire. 2 16 amp dynamo hatches. You go here, and you go here. But before I can finish that, I guess we have to set up silicone rubber. Come over here, make some maintenance hatches, and check our recipes to see what energy hatches we should use. I think to keep things simple, we'll probably just go with HV hatches, 31 casings. Let's see if I mathed correctly. No, I did not. I forgot all about pipe casings and copper nickel coil blocks. Great job. Pipe casing, copper nickel, please form. Yes. Now let's fix our maintenance issues. Next up, we'll craft some interfaces. And the worst part, conduits. Well, the threshold in the output bus was reached. The LCR shut off. Let's hope this one works just as well. 1 second it completes recipes. This should be going over to our fluid solidifier and making us a bunch of sheets into our ME system. Fluid solidifier is indeed working. And look at that number just climb, climb, and climb. And yes, I accidentally made over 2,500 epoxid sheets because my level emitter died. Oops. And we're back in business with finishing the rewire. Now, join me as we go on a little side project. Our first step is going to be to get 3 stacks of balanced shards. And as we can see, that process is relatively easy now. Already up to 31, and it's only been maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And yes, I'm aware this setup can be made a lot better. I just don't exactly know how. One thing I'm noticing is the alembics above do not carry any Essentia, and I really don't know why that is. But I guess I'll reference the Discord like I always do. Our second step is going to be to get this crystal matrix block. And in order to do so, we need nether stars. Maybe you know why I need so many balanced shards now. And also the diamond lattice, which is actually relatively easy to make. Okay, yeah, that's moving entirely too slow, so we're going to build this advanced alchemical furnace. Make sure we have all of our essentials. Do a backup because I've never done an infusion with an odd number of items. It makes me nervous. And I say we just give it a shot. We place you right here. Now, the first thing I think I'm going to put through to put this to the test is some charcoal so we can get ignis and potentia. Our catalyst will be lignite coal, or it won't. Oh, it's the dust. Oopsies. This should be the right catalyst. So now we just have to wait for all of these to finish crafting, and then we can move to finishing our tons of balanced shards. It looks like the bellows actually attached, so let's fire her up with some more mixed fragments. Well, I don't think it's crazy quicker, but it's definitely a speed improvement of sorts. I have a feeling we can improve it more. I've just got to do some research. And just like that, I'm freaking rich. We have 18 beautiful nether stars. All we need to do is combine those with our diamond lattice, which will give us our 9 crystal matrix ingots. And we'll just take these to compress them into a crystal matrix. That crystal matrix then allows us to make the dire crafting table, which gives us a giant grid to start working on these. I know I don't necessarily need to do this to power what I'm going to power, but I'm doing it just to have fun because I'm not rushing the pack. I play to have fun. Now, most of the things in here look relatively easy to get. Even the superconductor wire is not hard at all. Our problem is going to turn into sonarium pieces because they not only require an ass load of glowstone, but they also require inverted obsidian, which can only be obtained via a QED. Now, before we get started on that, I noticed that our engines did in fact cut on. They are charging our Lapatronic Super Capacitor, which tells me that the logic and suggested works very well. So thank you again for that suggestion, Ant. Now to get started on this QED is going to be all sorts of fun. The worst thing I think I've found is this magical wood. Magical wood requires carbonite, which requires us to go back to the Twilight Forest. Point. Shield removed. Now we just gotta go in and find this guy. Find the boss room. Something tells me this is probably it. It is indeed it. Did I already kill B1? Yo, are they glitching out? What is going on? Okay, well that was easy. Now we have the Urgas achievement ready to be completed, so we'll head to that tower next. And we'll take the cheap man's way of finding it, because it's super easy. Let's take this bad boy out. Mr. Urgas, where are you? There you are. Time to grab all of this carbonite. Fiery tears. Extremely deadly thunder, apparently. Oh boy, that's a lot of gas. I don't know if I should take these or not. Maybe. They might be useful for something. And I'm just gonna go through the rest of this tower and grab probably these pistons and the rest of the carbonite. Now I believe I should be able to start crafting everything piece by piece. I'm gonna start with Thaumcraft runic matrix because I hate doing infusion. I'm so dumb it's not even an infusion, it's just a craft. We can handle that. 1 runic matrix. 1 altar nexus. Alright, here's the infusion craft. Yet again, it does not require infusion. I don't know why I keep thinking that. Next, I need 18 ender infused obsidian. And we'll craft 72 dense plates. Let's see how quick these get done. Which leads me to the fact that I don't think I told you guys. I added a material press as well as a wire mill as our first 2 GregTech++ blocks. And man, are these things absolutely beautiful. It's making these dense plates in 1 second. Okay, I lied. It's not making the dense plates. It's making a plate to get to dense. Look at it just pound through these obsidian plates like it's nothing. Okay, that's the dense plate. 30 seconds in comparison to what it used to be. And I believe it's doing multiple of them at a time. Look at that, 16 done in the snap of a finger. No complaints here. All 72 are ready. Now we'll take some liquid ender, as well as our burnt quartz and dense obsidian plates, which will give us our ender infused obsidian. We'll then take the ender infused obsidian and magical wood. That will give us our ender cores. We can then take the ender cores, an EV chip, 2 titanium, and 2 diamond, which will give us the diamond etched computational matrix. What a mouthful that is. And voila, we have a quad erat demonstrandum, or a quark electron director. Now, we can start to work on these solar panels. I only need 2 of these, and I think we'll start with the hardest part, or the longest, I should say. So we need 4 of these irradiant reinforced aluminum plates, which requires 4 sonarium pieces, meaning we need 36 bits. So we'll need 12 triple compressed glowstone, meaning we need 12 inverted obsidian. Now, if this is a proper setup, because I've never used a QED before, I think it's a proper setup. Now, as far as the triple compressed goes, we're going to slap this in the ME interface to automatically start compressing. And let's get a rough calculation of how much glowstone blocks we'll need. We need 7,000 blocks of glowstone. This is definitely going to be a while before I have this. Luckily, I do have glowing earth coral breeding at the moment. And while I'm here in the crop farm, I decided to just start breeding up this Bob's Your Uncle Hank's plant. And look at the first two that I got. Finally got a direed and enderbloom. Don't think I could be much happier. Which leads me to the point. You probably wonder why I want LV solar panels. Well, I plan to completely transform this section to mirror this side. We'll probably change the roof up slightly, reminding me that I also need to swap these two over. But I want to use the LV solar panels somewhere back here and red alloy wire all the way over to our crop matrons. Basically have a second breeding area. I've come to find out that this is clearly not enough space, and I think I want to focus one towards some of the more rare stuff and one towards stuff like yellow stone lilies, slime plants, so on and so forth. For now, it seems like we're going to be leaving the game running for quite some time and getting as much of this glowing earth coral as we possibly can. Well, sadly, I think Tyrant was right. There's no way I'm grabbing that much glowstone at my current point in the game to make 2 LV solar panels. It called for 7,700 blocks. I let this run overnight with what glowing coral I had, and I only got up to about 900 blocks. So instead, I've been working a little bit on our setup over here. Added a couple areas right here for crops that I don't have a desire to manage at the moment, but might be useful. Relocated our primal shrooms, and built our second room. I just have a couple more modifications I need to make before we can get this fully up and running. There's water. I have a couple weed X to start. Last but not least is going to be our power. For power, I have this little setup that could use a little bit of tweaking eventually, but it will do for now. We got some stutters, which means this is in fact going to work. Now, the couple tweaks have been made. I just want to make this slightly prettier and hope I don't set anything on fire using this trick. And we're only doing this because I had this cable placed directly in the middle of the ground, and I don't like the look of that. Also, really don't understand why aluminum plates are silver when in my hand they're blue, but I'm not going to ask too many questions. Alright, now with power and everything hooked up, I should be able to come in here and populate crop breeder number 1. Well, with crops underway, I kind of wanted to come over here and start to beef up our parts processing area. As you can see, I've now added a multi-block extruder, and I also repositioned the wire mill and bending machine, mostly to allow for space for another bending machine right here. But for now, I'm going to come under here and start to hook up these interfaces that we had attached and see if we can't get everything connected over to ME and powered. Gonna make sure we monitor our channel usage. Looks like we have 8 channels available, so we need to split it off into 2 separate chains. Hell with it, we'll do it right now. Alright, we have the new P2P connection established onto our main line, which I just checked has a few channels left on this smart cable before we need to reconfigure. That has now dropped the amount of channels that this dense line was carrying, meaning we can now safely connect the wire mill to the network. I'll go ahead and put the rest of my patterns in. Now that I've reconfigured our channels, all we should have to do now is reconnect our energy. It's probably very soon that I'm going to have to convert this over to IV wire and just transform on site, but I'm going to worry about that later. Now we should have a functioning extruder, a functioning wire mill, and I know for a fact the bender's working because I've used it multiple times. Now in theory, I should be able to go ahead and craft up all the black steel wires that we need. See just how quickly this works. Literally 10 seconds. And soon we'll have a stack of EV motors. Wonderful. I'm rich. And alas, we have a whole new base that starts to look really trippy the higher you float up. Well, it's been quite a while since I released an episode, and we're already at the 30-minute mark. I was considering doing an extra long episode, but I think for now I'm going to try to keep it on the 30-minute mark. We got a lot accomplished today, including this massive battery that I'm standing on, and next episode we'll be getting into a little bit more of ore processing. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, especially if you made it all the way through till the end, and I'll see you guys again next time.